Hello everyone, I'm here today to present our paper on traditional building knowledge on lime and earthen plasters. I'm Rosie, one of the authors of this paper, and the other authors are Sanjani Girirajan and Sridevi Changali. When it comes to traditional building knowledge systems, India has a vast treasury of examples, and especially when it comes to lime and earthen plasters, their innovative use of natural additives to make them more durable and climate resistant is specifically interesting. Unfortunately, due to overuse of highly industrialized materials right now like cement, these systems are disappearing, these skills are disappearing. So we have tried to create an inventory, and we hope to document more and more of these additives from different regions of India. When it comes to these kind of traditional buildings, it's interesting to see that very early on in India we had 3-story structures or even higher made out of mud and then finished with lime. This particular slide is one of them, which is a traditional home in Maharashtra, which is built completely with pure lime using some special additives that made them more resistant and durable. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, more and more of those kind of houses, those kind of knowledge systems are disappearing, and we are starting to see more of very standardized buildings that use cement, and which leads to the complete loss of these systems and ways in which we can use lime and mud. So it is important also to realize that these traditional knowledge systems have a great role to play in the climate crisis, and to create low carbon place adaptive solutions to the challenges that we are facing today in the construction sector when we are looking for low carbon solutions to build our buildings. The way that this study has been done is through 3 ways. One is studying existing built heritage. The other is looking into living heritage. By this I mean practices that are still relevant, that are still being, building practices that are still being done, and also looking at oral history. So this paper has been written through documentation of these practices, through literature study, case studies, field visits, and also literature research. We can move on to the traditional buildings of India. So when we look at this, for this paper we focused on few specific regions of India. In the next slide. Before I go into that, I'll just explain about how these finishes were, right from quaint small dwellings in the country to palaces to temples. We see the use of these additives, no matter whether it is an earthen plaster or a lime plaster. For example, the first image here is an earthen home. The second image is a cave in Maharashtra that uses specific additives, especially guava stem fibers, to have them last even now. And have them last through time. It is also interesting to find that many of these additives and the history of the use of these additives can be found in our ancient texts. Especially interesting is one that describes about 15 additives that were added into lime plasters in the use for the treatment and maintenance of the temples. So this paper mainly speaks of certain lime and earthen plasters used in these specific regions, and our hope is to cover all parts of the country, especially using examples from the west, the east, the north and the south. In this paper specifically, we'll be covering Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The first plaster right now is a plaster called Tapi. It is a base plaster which in lime that uses mainly a lime, rock lime, which is slaked and then mixed with surki, which is powdered burnt brick and mixed with a mix of jaggery and kadikai water. So this jaggery and kadikai is fermented earlier and then added into this lime mix just before it's plastered onto the walls. Next slide. This is a plaster which is a finishing plaster called Araish, also found in Rajasthan. Araish means mirror, and the way that this is burnished after it is laid with a specific stone makes it shine and in such a way that you can even see a reflection. This uses very fine mix, the ingredients which you can read in the paper. Here we move on to a rock lime plaster of Tamil Nadu, which specifically again uses rock lime and once slaked rock lime, which becomes powder, which is then mixed with fine sand and added with a fermented jaggery and kadikai water, which is then plastered onto the walls. This is an earthen plaster found in Kerala, where a particular soil is taken from the region itself and mixed with rice husk to form the base layer, and the final layer uses the burned ash of this rice husk mixed with a particular water from a tree, which is the Uruvai tree, or also known as the Kulumavu tree, and then plastered onto the wall. Hence you get the greyish color onto the plaster. These are just some final coatings that are added onto these plasters. I will just speak about a few of them. So very often, traditionally lime and mud plasters have dusting that comes when you rub onto the walls. So these were some traditional coatings that were given towards after these plasters are done and dried, so that this can avoid the dusting from happening. So one of them is Vepu Pasha, which is from the Vepu Maram, where you take the leaves and they are boiled, and then that sticky mix, which is like a gum, is then painted onto these walls to prevent them from dusting. We also have different examples mentioned here, something from the leaves of the castor tree, etc., which you can read further on in the paper. I'd like to end here. The idea of this study is to continue to study various additives that are added into these natural plasters that make them more durable and climate resilient, in order to see if we can revive them and bring them back into construction today, which will be the solution to the challenge that we're looking at when it comes to the construction sector and reducing the carbon footprint of our buildings. Thank you. You can reach out to us in the email below, and I encourage you to read the paper. Thank you.